Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from the Meadowlands Racetrack here on Saturday. It is August 4th, 2018. It's Hambletonian Day from the Meadowlands, and I'm going to look at all the stakes races on today's program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. The stakes races I'll be looking at are not all of them, shall I say, but the races I'll be looking at are races 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if you want the races 1 through 3 and race 16, you have to follow me on my Twitter page at HorseRacingKid5 to get those selections. But we'll look at all the other races, starting off with race number 4, the fourth race in the Meadowlands. It's the Peter Houghton Memorial Final. It's for 2-year-old colts and geldings only. Field of 10 trotters traveling 1 mile, going for a purse of $422,350. My top selection here, I'm going to take my chances with the 3-horse Jerry. I'm going to go 3, 6, 5, 10 in the superfecta. 3, 6, 5, 10 super. My top selection, the 3-horse Jerry. Can't speak, sorry. Tim Tetrick's in the sulky, this 2-year-old colt by Muscle Hill. Marcus Melander trains, like I said, Tim Tetrick in the sulky. Horse's most recent outing came 2 weeks ago now here at the Meadowlands in the kindergarten for 2-year-olds. This horse won by a nose there. He stalked most of the race. He got the lead, and then he fought a good race at the wire. He won in 154 and 3, which wasn't the best time in the world, but he fought a good race there. In only his second parimutuel race. Before that, his first parimutuel run at the Pocono, in the All Stars, 9th of July. This horse won by 3/4 length there. He sat back early off the gate, but then he went straight to lead after that. And then he just had a very easy victory, winning 157 and 4, 5 cents to a dollar. He did everything right there. And then before that, in his two qualifiers for 2-year-olds at Meadowlands, he won both of them in 158 and 2. His last one and his first one, he won in 157 and 3 on lead almost all throughout in both of those. I'll take my chances here with him in this race. So watch out for him at 4-1. Some of these races can be very chalky, and some of these races can be, you can find a little bit of a price. This is that little bit of a price. I'm trying to beat the favorite Green Shoe, who is probably going to get bet into the ground here. But to recap my selections for the fourth from the Meadowlands, it's the Peter Houghton Memorial Final. Going to go with the 3-horse Jerry. Going to go 3, 6, 5, 10 in the superfecta. To race number 5 now from the Meadowlands, the 5th race, it's the Jim Thornton Memorial Final. It's for 2-year-old fillies here. Field of 10 trotters traveling 1 mile. Purse $357,450. Will we see some of these horses in next year's Hambo Oaks Final? We'll have to wait and see. It's still a year away. But my top selection here, a horse, if you're playing a multi-race wager, the Pick 8 or the Survivor 8 starts with this race. I would single the 1-horse Beautiful Sin. She's a very nice filly here, and I think she should run a big mile. I'm going to go 1, 2, 5, 7 in the superfecta. 1, 2, 5, 7 super. My top selection, a single in the multi-race, would be the 1-horse Beautiful Sin. 2 filly by Muscle Hill. Jimmy Tactor trains. Yannick Gingras in the sulky. This horse's most recent outing came in the elims for this race last week on the slop here at the Meadowlands. This horse finished second by a nose. Sat back early, got the lead, and set up and opened up by a few on the backstretch, but then he got overtaken right at the wire. He ran her hard out there, but I think today they're going to really slow it down and, wait and, wait for the final. Also, if you watched the replay, I don't think Gianni Jingo was really trying at the end to get the victory. Why get the $20,000 purse when you could go for almost $500,000 a week later? So that's why she probably lost also. If he wanted to win, he could have won also. Before that, the Meadowlands in the 2-year-old filly kindergarten. This horse won by a half length, on lead all throughout, 155 and 1, best time ever. It was just a really easy race there. And then the All-Stars of Pocono a week earlier on the slop. Horse won by 3 1/4 lengths there. Sat back early off the gate from the inside, got the lead, then walked home in 158 and 1. A very easy race. Like I said, she's the best horse here, I think, by a mile. Looking at over the other times of any of these horses, she's run the best mile here, so or tied best mile here, and I just think she'll run a big one. They're expecting a little bit of rain in North Jersey, here in New York City also, but on early Saturday, So if it's a wet course, it should be okay because she has run well on a wet course. So watch out for her here today to run a big one. Like I said, single and multi-race. So to recap my selections for the fifth from the Meadowlands, it's the Jim Dorothy Memorial Final. Gonna go with the one horse Beautiful Sin. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 5, 7 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 6 from the big end. Race number 6 from the Meadowlands, it's the John Cashman Memorial TVG Free-for-All Final here. A field of 12 trotters traveling 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of a mile and an eighth. I always give out the meters because I like doing it. It's going for a purse here, $286,650. Great race here with the quality, but the favorite should win, I think, the 12-horse Hannelore Hanover. I'm going to go 12-1-8-5 in the superfecta. 12-1-8-5 super, my top selection. And again, a single in the multi-race would be the 12-horse Hannelore Hanover. 6-year-old mare by Swan for All. Ron Burke trains. Yannick Gingras gets in the sulky on this one. You know, this horse most recently ran in the Versatility a few weeks ago here at the Meadowlands, where she won by half length. She won it in 150 and 2. Easy race for her. She just had a good going away victory. I think here off the break, even with the second tier post draw and the extra eighth of mile, it shouldn't be a problem. She has already run a good race here earlier in May at this class. Before that, at the Meadowlands on the 29th of June, in the preferred handicap, horse won by 2 3/4 lengths there. Sat back early that day behind Pinkman was in that race, Celebrity Ruth was in that race. Decent horses. Sat back early, but got the lead shortly after, and then took off in 150 and 3/5 of a second there. And then before that, in the Ombro fight at Mohawk, the 16th of June, horse won by 3 3/4 lengths there. Another very easy victory in 152 flat. From the second tier, like I said, it shouldn't be a problem for her. She can rate. She had a really good, like I said, she had a really good race here in May, and I expect her again to run a very good one. Only problem is she's 9-5, and the price sucks. I know, but you watch out for her to run a big one. This is an exciting race because you have the best of the best horses here. But like I said, the favorite should win. But if that even makes sense. But to recap my selections for the 6 from the Meadowlands, it's a John Cashman Memorial. Gonna go with the 12-horse Hannelore Hanover. Gonna go 12-1-8-5 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 7. The 7th race from the Meadowlands, it's the Cane Pace. It's the first leg of the Triple Crown for the Pacers here, 3-year-old open. Field of 9 Pacers traveling 1 mile, purse $281,000. My top selection here, I like the 3-horse Stay Hungry, and I'm always hungry. Gonna go 3-2-9-4 in the superfecta, 3-2-9-4 super. To the multi-race, I would go 3-2. I think those are the 2 horses to run big ones here, but my top selection would be the 3-horse Stay Hungry. 3-year-old colt by Some Beach Somewhere. Tony and Lanya trains. Douglas McNair's in DeSolke. This horse's most recent outing came in the Meadowlands Pace a few weeks ago. 1 mile on the 14th of July. This horse finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths there. From the rail, sat back early, and he had a decent turn of foot at the end, but it still wasn't enough to win. The winner, Courtly Choice, just had the better turn of foot from the back of the pack, who I have second on my multi-race ticket. But before that, this horse ran the Meadowlands Pace Limb, where this horse won by 3/4 length, 149 flat. He closed up well from the back pack. A really good race for this horse there. And then before that, Pocono and the Hempt final, he finished 4th by half length. It was kind of a weird race there. Everybody seemed like they were going to the front end, and it seemed like everybody was challenging there. It was an all-out finish. He just missed at the end, but he ran a decent effort there. And then the Limb, he finished 3rd by half length. Another all-out finish, but again, ran well. But before that, he ran in the North America Cup, and he just had nothing. He finished 4th. Lather up ran a hell of a race. This horse just didn't really run well. But I think coming here to the mile, longer stretch for him to navigate. I like his chances a lot, so watch out for him on top for my as my top selection. Another horse I would use in the multi-race would be the 2-horse Courtly Choice, 3-year-old colt by Art Major. Dave Miller's in the sulky. This horse gave Dave Miller his first Meadowlands Pace victory a few weeks ago. Won the race by 1 1/4 lengths, closing up well on the outside, and he got there. Good race. Even better that it gave Dave Miller his first win in the race. You always want the veteran to get that. There's always one race the veteran's always missing, and for him it was always the Meadowlands pace. He finally got it. Good for him. But before that, this horse won the Elim by 3/4 length very easily there, and then before that in the Hem Consolation, this horse won by 12 lengths. Sat back early, but took off clear. For some reason, this horse does not run it in the Elims. He missed the Elims for the Hempt. He broke out of it and had nothing there. In the North America Cup Elim, had nothing. But he finally had something in the Meadowlands Pace Lim because he won that day and then went on to win the final. But if you look at his consolation races, the Hemp Consolation won by a dozen, and then he won by 2 3/4 lengths in the North America Cup Lim, very North America Cup Consolation, so I was like very easily, and won 49-2. Here he has the best smile of anybody here, and from the inside, I think he should run a big one also. The problem is he's 9-5. You want to find a little bit of a better price somewhere, and I think the other better price here would be my top selection, Stay Hungry, so I'll use him also. But to recap my selections for the 7th run in the Meadowlands, it's the Cane Pace final. I'm going to go with the 3-horse Stay Hungry. I'm going to go 3-2-9-4 in the superfecta. Off subject, but wasn't always the Cane Pace at the Freehold years ago? That's where I always remember it, but guess they moved it to the Meadowlands quite a few years ago. But when I think of Cane Pace, I always think of Freeholds. A lot of people think other places, but for me, it's Freeholds. So now let's get on to race number 8 from the Race number 8 from the Meadowlands. It's the Hambletonian Elimination. 3-year-old Open, field of 9 trotters, traveling 1 mile, purse $100,000. My top selection in this race would be the 5-horse Wolfgang. Gonna go 5-7-6-1 in the superfecta. 5-7-6-1 super. Top selection of 5-horse Wolfgang. 3-year-old colts by my MVP. Jimmy Takter trains. Yannick Jangrau, looking for his first Hambo victory, is in the sulky. This horse's most recent outing came here at the Meadowlands a few weeks ago now. In the Dancer 3-year-old Open. This horse won by 2 3/4 lengths there. Ran the race in 151-2. On lead all throughout. Almost a very easy race there. It wasn't almost. It was a very easy race there. Before that, he ran in the good times at Woodbine Standardbred, what do they call it, Mohawk now. This horse won by 4 lengths there. Sat back early off the gate, but then got the lead, and then he took off clear. Very easy race for this horse there. And then the good times Lim. Horse won by 2 3/4 lengths. On lead all throughout. A very easy victory again. This horse is 3 for 3 so far this year. And he's done everything right. I expect him to run a big one here today. And he's also a horse that's good enough to win the final, so I'll use him as a top selection. I also think the 7-horse Atlanta is a horse you want to use on your multi-race tickets. This trio fielded by a Chapter 7, Rick Zeron trained. Scott Zeron is in the sulky. Scott Zeron won the race 2 years ago with Mary Marauder very nicely. But this horse, he's done everything right also this year. His most recent outing came in the Sire Stakes at New York Sire Stakes at Vernon a few weeks ago, where this horse won by 2.5 lengths, almost on lead all throughout. A very easy victory there. Before that, Tioga in New York Sire Stakes, horse won by 3 1/4 lengths. Again, very easy race. And before that, again in the Sire Stakes, the EBCF final at Vernon, he won by 4.5 lengths. Very easy race. He's been qualifying very easily. I think he can run a big one. He's also another horse that could do well in the final. We'll talk about him more when we get to the final page. But to recap my selections here for the 8th race from the Meadowlands, it's Hambletonian Elim, the first Elim here. Going to go with the 5-horse Wolfgang. I'm going to go 5-7-6-1 in the superfecta. I'll go 5-7 in the multi-race. So now let's get on to race number 9. The 9th race from the Meadowlands, it's the Hambletonian Elimination. 3-year-old Open, field of 9 trotters, traveling 1 mile, purse $100,000. My top selection here, I like the 3-horse Classic Hap. I'm going to go 3-9-1-6 in the superfecta. 3-9-1-6 super. My top selection here, the 3-horse Classic Hap. Hopefully he could do a Winsong's Legacy in this one for Trot Setchammer. I have to say, before I get on to it, a lot of people don't know about me is when I first really got into racing when I was a little kid, it was first harness racing before the flats. Now it's more, I look at mostly now the flat races, but I still go back to harness. I say the golden era for me, a lot of people might argue, but the golden era of the Hambletonian was from 2003 to 2006, because I had the winners all 4 of those years. Can't remember who won in 2003. I know it was Michael Chance. Can't remember the horse, but then you had the year later you had Winsong's Legacy, and then you had I think Vivid Photo. He might have been 2006, and then you had Glide Master in 2005 or six, whatever it was. But those were the the golden era for me. I think Glide Master was 2006, Vivid Photo was 2005, and Glide Master 2006. But that was the golden era for me when I really got into it. And I remember Winsong's Legacy. The night before, me and my old man went to the Meadowlands, and we got the program, and you could. I said this horse is winning it, and he was nice little odds there, and I said put everything on it, and I think he his definition of put everything on it in my money was $10 for a 10-year-old at the time. That was a good return, but after that 4-year period, I didn't pick another Hambo winner until 2014. So, but since 2014, I've been pretty good. But back to this race, Classic Hap. Let's, like I said, let's get him a Winsong Legacy kind of run. Trots Hedgehammer in the sulky, trains this horse for a Purple Haze stable. This horse ran in the Dancer 3-year-old Open a few weeks ago, where this horse finished second by 2 3/4 lengths behind Wolfgang there. That day he just he sat back early, and he had a little bit of a turn of foot at the end. It wasn't a bad race. Before that, the Meadowlands in the non-wars 2 to 3 for 3 and 4-year-olds. He won by a head there, almost on lead all throughout. He had a good mile there in 151 and 1, best mile ever there. And then before that, in a non-wars 2 for 3 and 4-year-olds at the Meadowlands, horse that day he finished third, but was placed second through disqualification. He ran well, but it wasn't the best race, but it wasn't the worst race either. And before that, he had a decent third place finish at Toga in the New York Shire Stakes. He ran a good race, closing up well at the end. He's a closer here, and I think if he gets a good trip, he can get a piece fit. And I do like him a little bit in the final as a long shot play. 6-1, watch out for him. And I think the 9-horse 6-pack can run a big one. He'll be used on the multi-race for me. Aki Schwanstedt's in the sulky, and owns, trains, and drives this one. 3-year-old colt by Muscle Mass. This horse ran the Dancer 3-year-old Open a few weeks ago here at the Meadowlands and won by 2 1/4 lengths and just destroyed the field in 150 flat. A good race for this horse. A world record in the comments line. It doesn't get any easier than that. Before then, the Beal final at Pocono. Horse finished second by a half length there. From the outside, he had to be used early, which I think cost him at the end. He just never got that good closing kick there. And then the Beal elimination. Horse won by 3/4 length. Quickened up nicely on the front end. A very good victory that day. I think this horse's better surface or better track is the 1 mile, which he'll be on today. Wide poster doesn't scare me a lot because the good horses from the wide poster can win. 2 to 1. Shit priced, but I'll take him on the multi-race. Watch out for him. But to recap my selection for the ninth of the Meadowlands, it's the Hambletonian limb. Gonna go with the 3-horse Classic Chap. Like I said, let's get that Winsong Legacy kind of run. Gonna go 3, 9, 1, 6 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 10 from the 10th race from the Meadowlands. It's the Dennis Drazen 3-year-old Colts and Geldings here. A field of 12 trotters traveling 1 mile, going for a purse of $50,000. My top selection in this one, I like the 7-horse Scirocco Rob. I'm going to go 7, 12, 8, 4 in the superfecta. 7, 12, 8, 4 super. I would go 7, 12 in the multi-race, whatever it would be, the pick 4, the pick 8, whatever it is. But my top selection would be the 7-horse Sirocco Rob, 3-0 Gelding by Explosive Matter, Corey Callahan's in the sulky. This horse is most recent outing came Meadows last week, and the Arden 3-0 Consolation. This horse won by 2 lengths there, on lead all throughout, had a really good mile in 156. He did everything right there on the 5/8 of a mile track. Before that, in the Pennsylvania All-Stars Sire Stakes, what the hell they call those races, at Chester, he won by a neck there. And from the outside, he left off the gate. He had to be used a lot early on, but which probably cost him at the end, but he got the victory in 153 and 1 there. And then before that, in a non-wars a 5-pair mutual at Chester, horse won by 6.5 lengths, sat back early, got the lead going around the under the line for the first time, and then he was on there all throughout. Very easy victory after that. I think here to the mile, it shouldn't be a problem. He has a decent post draw here. I'll take my chances at 7 to 2, so watch out for him. Also, the 12-horse Help is on the way, can run a big one. This 3-0 colt by Chapter 7, Linda Toscano trains, Timmy Teatrix in the sulky. This horse's most recent outing came in the New York Sire Stakes this past week at Yonkers, where this horse won by 3/4 length, sat back early off the gate, but had a good turn of foot at the end, and he got there in 155 and 3. Not the best time, but he did well here there on the half-mile. Before then, the Tompkins 3-year-olds here at the Meadowlands, 21st of July. This horse won by a neck there, and that day from the mid-pack, he sat back early, got the lead, and he won there in 153 and 2, but it wasn't the best race for him. But he got the job done. And then before that, in a non-winners of 3 to 4, non-winners of 3 pair mutual, or for 3 and 4-year-olds, he finished fourth by 7 lengths and had a disaster trip from the outside, and really, it wasn't the day to win. I think here for the second tier, it's a lot better than the 10-hole for this horse, and I think he'll run well. 3-1 shit price, I know, but you'll have to take him on the multi-race. But to recap my selection for the 10th from the Meadowlands, it's Dennis Drazen. I'm going to go with the 7-horse Scirocco Rob. I'm going to go 7, 12, 8, 4 in the superfecta. I'll go 7, 12. So now let's get on to race number 11 from the 11th race from the Meadowlands is probably one of my favorite races on Hambo Day. It's the formerly known as the U.S. Pacing Championship. Now it's called the Sam McKee Memorial. It's a field of 12 pacers traveling 1,800 meters or mile and eighth, going for a purse $260,100. This is a really good race here. Decently wide open for some of the, this is the most wide open race of the afternoon. As a top selection here, I'm going to go with the 3-horse All Bets Off. I'm going to go 3, 12, 6, 8 in the superfecta, 3, 12, 6, 8 super. In the multi-race now, I'm going to go 3, 12, 6, 3, 12, 6, because it's, like I said, it's very wide open. But my top selection would be the 3-horse All Bets Off, 7-horse by Bettor's Delight. Romberg trains, Matt Kakali's in the sulky. Most recently, this horse ran the Houghton TVG final a few weeks ago here at the Meadowlands, a mile and the eighth. This horse finished fourth by 5 lengths there. He had a wide poster, which probably cost him the victory, but he was closing up at the end. It wasn't a bad race. The extra eighth of a mile should really suit this horse, I think, a lot. Before that, in the Franklin final Pocono, 1 mile the 30th of June, horse finished 7th by 3.5 lengths there. He stalked early, and then he just had nothing. It was an all-out finish, but he had nothing there. And then before that, Pocono and the Franklin Limb, horse finished second that day, but was placed first through disqualification. Because he got kind of interfered, but he ran okay there. It wasn't the best race, but it wasn't the worst either. And then before that, in the preferred here at the Meadowlands, going a mile on the 9th of June, horse won by 2 3/4 lengths, 148.5, his best time of the year, his best time ever. He just jumped very nicely there to get the victory. Here 10-1, back to the half mile, the extra eighth of a mile. If he has a good clean trip, I think he can get a piece fit. So watch out for him. I think the 12-horse Mick Wicked could run a big one also, but he's a shit price at 2-1 here. 7-year-old horse by McArty, Casey Coleman trains, Brian Sears in the sulky. This horse ran a preferred at Mohawk a few weeks ago, where this horse won by a neck. Sat back early, got there in the end. They didn't want to kill the horse that day. It was just a very easy race. Probably could have won by more, but like I said, didn't want to kill it. Wait for the $300,000 purse in 2 weeks. But before that, in the Houghton final, horse won by a half length there. He sat back early, but got there in the end. A good victory for this horse in 2:02 and 2/5 of a second. And then before that, in the Franklin final, this horse won by 1.5 lengths. He just had a very easy victory there. This horse has run some fast miles so far this year. The biggest question here would be the wide postra, but or the second tier. But I do think he can overcome it. So I'll use him here on the multi-race, along with the 6-horse Western Joe, 4-year-old horse by Western Ideal. Scott Zuran's in the sulky. This horse is most recent out and came in the preferred last week here at the Meadowlands, where this horse won by a length. And from the off the gate got the lead, and then it was like kind of a merry-go-round. Everybody had the lead there. He got it back at the end and got the victory at 5.5 to 1. A good race for this horse at the end, fighting back. Before then, the opens here is at Chester. This horse finished fourth by 3/4 length there, and he was with the pace setters early on, and then he just kind of weakened out of it. Couldn't keep up with them there at the end. And then the graduate finals a few weeks ago here at the Meadowlands, horse finished third by 1/2 lengths. Again, he closed up well after being on the front end early on in the race. It wasn't a bad race. He's the kind of horse, again, will like the 1 mile. He ran a good mile here a few weeks ago, 147 and 3. That was last week. So watch out for him to run a big one. Is it possible? They're going a mile and 1/8 here. Is it possible they could go, world record time in this mile and 1/8? We'll just have to wait and see. When when it's warm out and it's humid, these tracks can get quick. So let's see. Maybe we'll go world record time. I wonder what the world record is for a mile and 1/8. Could it be 2:01, somewhere around there? Could they go sub 2 minutes for a mile and a half? Highly doubt that, but you never know. But to recap my selections for the 11th from the Meadowlands, it's the Sam McKee Memorial, formerly known as the U.S. Pacing Championship. Gonna go with the 3-horse, all bets off. Gonna go 3, 12, 6, 8 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 12 from the Meadowlands. Race number 12 from the Meadowlands is the Hambletonian Oaks Final. We have a field of 10 3-year-old filly trotters going the distance of ground of 1 mile, purse $500,000. My top selection here in the final for the Oaks, I like the 1-horse Plunge Blue Chip. I'm going to go 1, 4, 5, 8 in the superfecta, 1, 4, 5-8 super. Multi-race scenario, I would go 1-4. I think it's a 2-horse race between those two, but my top selection would be the 1-horse Plunge Blue Chip, 3-year-old filly by Muscle Mass. Ake Schwanstedt owns, trains, and drives this one. This horse ran the limbs last week for this race at the Meadowlands. Finished third by 4 3/4 lengths. Off the gate from the outside, got second, got to the lead in the midpoint, and then he just kind of got overtaken. But if you watched a ride by Ake Schwanstedt, he didn't want to kill the horse. He just, let him go. They got into the final. Wait for the money this week. Before that, the Meadowlands in the Miller final. This horse won by a nose there, and that day, sat towards the back of the pack. Well, he sat stalking that day from mid-pack, but he got the lead just in the nick of time. A good race for this horse. And then the Sire Stakes at New York Sire Stakes at Tioga on the 24th of June. Horse finished second by 3 1/4 lengths. Part of an entry there. He never really got going, but I think the better surface for this horse is the mile, as all the best miles for him have come over the mile race course. And I think from the rail, this horse is going to be running a big one, so watch out. I think the 4-horse Manchego can run a big one also. This 3-year-old filly by Muscle Hill. Jimmy Tactor trains. Yannick Gingras in the sulky. This horse's most recent outing came in the Oaks Limb, where this horse won by 3 3/4 lengths, almost on lead all throughout, 151-1. It was a good mile there, best mile ever for this horse. Best winning mile for this horse. Before that, in the Miller 3-0 final at the Meadowlands 2 weeks earlier, this horse finished second by a nose behind Plunge Blue Trip. That day this horse set the pace most race, but got overtaken right at the wire, just couldn't get to them. And then before that, in the Beal final at Pocono, horse finished 9th by 26 lengths, broke mid-pack, and just couldn't recover. But I think coming here, back to the mile, horse should really do well. 5-2 ship price, but you have to take it. Watch out for this horse to run a big one. But to recap my selections now for the 12th from the Meadowlands, it's the Hambletonian Oaks Final. Going to go with the 1-horse Plunge Blue Chip. Going to go 1, 4, 5, 8 in the superfecta. I'll go 1, 4 in the multi-race. So now let's get on to race number 13. Race number 13 from the Meadowlands, it's the big one. It's the Hambletonian Final. Field of, hopefully, 10 horses going to the post. The 1-mile trot going for the $1 million purse. Now, the post positions will be assigned after the limbs. The first 5, I think, in each race get to the final. Yes, I'm right. So races for races 8 and 9, the first 5 finishers run back in this one. So we don't know the post position and who's going to be in them, but I kind of expect, you have a kind of a sort of an idea who's going to run in this one. As I try to make sense here. Pardon me, it is 7 o'clock in the morning, and I still haven't finished my coffee yet. I'm almost only half full, so hopefully I'm making sense. But the horses I expect to make the final here are going to be, Atlanta. I expect to make the final. I think Wolfgang's going to make the final. Classic Hap, I think, is going to make the final, and Six Pack. I think those are the 4 horses to beat here. Problem is, those are probably the 4 horses in the betting. Atlanta, he's undefeated so far this year. It depends how he runs today. I think he can run a big one. I think Classic Hap is going to be a little bit of a wise guy horse that could really close up well on this race course. Wolfgang, you want to give Yannick Gingras that first Hambo victory, and I think this year is probably his best chance to get it with Wolfgang. If he gets a clear trip on the that today and a good poster on the final, I think he can get a piece of it because he's the most improved off of a 2-year-old to a 3-year-old campaign, and I think. Six Pack, he's done everything well also, and he's the kind of horse, he's a little versatile. He could sit on the front end or he can come from behind. So those would be my top 4 horses for this race. Atlanta, Wolfgang, Classic Hap, and the Six Pack. So, when we get to the final, I'll use those 4 horses if there would be a daily double from the Hambo Oaks to this race. I would use, in race number 12, the Hambo Oaks, I would go 1-4, and in this race, I would use those 4 if they're in the final. Hopefully you make some money with this race, because it's gonna be a good race here. The Hambletonian Day is always a good day of racing, and the Hambletonian every year is always an exciting race. Last year was exciting. 2 years ago, Mary Murata fighting back was a good race. Like I said, the 4 horses I'll be using here are going to be, God willing, shall we say, the Atlanta, Wolfgang, Classic Hap, and Six Pack. I know I said it many times, but hopefully you got it. So now let's get on to race number 14 from the Meadowlands. The 14th race from the Meadowlands is the Dr. John R. Steele Memorial TVG Free for All for the mares here. Field of 9 trotters traveling 1 mile. Purse $154,800. My top selection in a single in the multi-race would be the 9-horse Ariana G. Gonna go 9-4-5-2 in the superfecta. 9-4-5-2 super. Top selection in a single would be the 9-horse Ariana G. 4-year-old mare by Muscle Hill. Jimmy Tactor trained. Yannick Jingros in the sulky. A few weeks ago in the Hambletonian Maturity, mile 8th at the Meadowlands, this horse won by 2 3/4 lengths there, almost on lead all throughout. It just had a good going away victory at the end in 2:05 flat for that mile and 8th. It was a good race for this horse there. Before then, the graduate final at the Meadowlands, 1 mile, 7th of July. This horse won by 3 3/4 lengths there, and had some pressure early on, but took off clear in the end. 150 and 2/5 of a second, world record time there. And then before then, the Open Series at Chester, 24th of June. Horse finished 6th by 4 3/4 lengths. Why Postra? This horse doesn't do the best running on the 5/8 mile track, I've noticed. Never was really into it. And then before that, at Mohawk in the graduate, horse finished 6th by 2 1/4 lengths. Just had nothing there. Didn't quicken up at all. It was just a weird race there. And then before that, the graduate Open at the Meadowlands in mid May, this horse won by 3/4 length on lead all throughout. Wasn't the most impressive victories, but he got it, or she got it. 5 for 3 so far this year, is undefeated at the Meadowlands. I think I think she'll make it to, another victory here. 9-5, ship price, I know, but you have to take it, so watch out for her. So to recap my selections for the 14th from the Meadowlands, it's the Dr. John R. Steele Memorial. Gonna go with the 9-horse Ariana G. Gonna go 9-4-5-2 in the superfecta. So now let's get on to race number 15 from the Meadowlands. Race number 15 from the Meadowlands, the final race I'll be looking at on YouTube for today's card from the Meadowlands. Remember, if you want all the other races, you have to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. But race number 15, it's the Lady Liberty TVG Free-for-All Mares. Field of 12 pacers traveling 1,800 meters or a mile and 1/8, going for a purse of $197,400. Great race here in the Lady Liberty. My top selection, I like the 4-horse Pure Country. Going to go 4-2-1-7 in the superfecta. 4-2-1-7 super. In the multi-race, I would go 4-2-1. I think it's a 3-horse race between those two, but my top selection would be the 4-horse Pure Country. 5-year-old mare by Some Beach Somewhere. Jimmy Tactor trains. He better have a good day, because I have him quite a few times. Brian Sears in the sulky. Have him quite a few times also. But this horse's most recent parimutuel run came about a month ago now in the Golden Girls TVG Free For All on Pace Night Meadowlands, 1,800 meters, mile and 1/8. This horse finished 3rd by length. Sat back early, but was coming at the end, just missed. But this is the kind of horse that you really like the extra furlong here today. Also has a decent post draw, major improvement off the last post draw, which was from the 8 hole. Today it gets the post draw from the from the from the 4 hole, which I think is good. But before that, this horse ran the Roses Are Red a Limb at not the Roses Are Red a Limb in the Open Series. Before that, Pocono, 1 mile, 23rd of June, where this horse finished 5th by 1 3/4 lengths, and just didn't really show up. Wasn't the day to win. Again, like a lot of these horses, the Meadowlands they like running at the 5/8 miles are too tight for some of these horses, and I think it was I think the 5/8 was too tight for this one that day, and didn't get around it. But between the Open Series and the TVG and between the Golden Girls in this race, this horse has had some qualified last week at the Meadowlands by winning by 1.5 lengths on lead all throughout, 151 and 3, easy victory there, and then qualified 2 weeks ago before the Golden Girls, won by 1 1/4 lengths, sitting back that day, but decent turnoff at the end, ran the final quarter quite quickly, and she won at 152 and 1. Good qualifier there. I think here at 4-1, extra eighth of mile should really help this one. Back to the mile again. Watch out for this horse. I think the 2-horse LA's Delight can run a big one also. This 5-year-old mare by Better's Delight. Nancy Johansson trains. Yannick Jingra gets in the sulky. Again, he better have a good day because I have him quite a bit also on today's program. But this horse's most recent outing came a few weeks ago at Chester in the Open Series. Horse finished second by 1 1/4 lengths there, and just didn't have the best trips early on, but was coming at the end. Before that, in the Golden Girls here at the Meadowlands, a mile and the eighth, this horse finished sixth by 2 1/4 lengths. Stalked early, and then this horse just had traffic trouble in the straightaway. Couldn't get that good kick at the end, and then the Open Series at Pocono, 1 mile. 1st of July. Horse finished third by half length. And again, all-out finish. Just couldn't get the head in front, but he ran a decent effort. I think here from the inside, if this horse has a clear trip, I think this horse could get a piece of it. And the one horse, Sharton, or Sharton, whatever the horse's name is. I think the N stands for the New Zealand horses. But, this horse is, he's the kind of horse that scares me a little bit. He did not do well going a mile and eighth a few weeks ago where he had a quick pace in front of her. She finished fourth by 1/2 lengths. Set the pace early on, but then she just hit the wall. She's either going to run a good race or a shit race, basically. That's what I say. The mile and eight's going to be too long for her, or she's just going to open up by a bunch from the inside. She's going to be setting the pace early on. Let's see if she gets some easy fractions. I think she can win, but she's the kind of horse, she scares me a little bit. But I'll use her as insurance on the multi-race. But to recap my selections for the 15th and final race for YouTube for the Meadowlands, on today's program, the 15th, the Lady Liberty Final as top selection. Going to go with the 4-horse Pure Country. Going to go 4-2-1-7 in the superfecta. I'll go 4-2-1 in the multi-race. So like I said earlier, if you want the rest of the races from the Meadowlands, races 1 through 3 and race 16, follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 to get those selections, and good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter, like I said, at HorseRacingKid5, and join me all throughout the month for my Saratoga previews here on YouTube, and join me next week for my Dan Patch preview from Hoosier.